Legacy or likes? Which matters more to you? Whichever one you pick will determine how you show up.
You are watching Influence Media, PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
Now, according to the Small Business Association, business owners are typically 35 years and older, skewing more heavily to those 55 years and older. Statista, another data organization, shows that the content creators, especially video content, is being more dominated by those in the age group of 18 to 34. So here's the crazy part. According to YouTube, only 9% of US businesses are represented on YouTube. So what does this mean when it comes to legacy versus likes? If you don't have a strong digital presence, you are already saying that likes don't matter. Okay, all right. But what about legacy? Because regardless of likes or legacy preference, there are some things that you still need to be doing to accomplish one or the other. And I dare say many of those strategies are overlapping. The nuance will come from where your preference lies. There is a nuance. You'll focus on legacy. You will do some things that may or may not bring you likes. If you're focused on likes, you will do some things, pranks and all that kind of stuff that will get you attention, but not necessarily build your legacy. So there is a nuance to your focus. I will say that. But if you intend to have legacy or likes, you do need to show up. Now, this show is going to focus more on the legacy aspect of this conversation. So, legacy or likes, which matters more to you? If it's legacy, hang in there because we're going to discuss that. Now, Trudy Beerman here. I'm the host and CEO of Profitable Social Influence TV, PSI TV. I'm 58 years old. So for me, legacy matters. However, I'm accomplishing legacy through likes. So this is why I say whether legacy or likes is your focus, there are some overlaps. And I'm working on accomplishing legacy, but I'm accomplishing that through the avenue of followers who like my content. So bear with me because there might be something here for you. Now, I want to strongly encourage those of you who are 45 years and older to not worry about competing with the younger ones in the space. Rather, I'm going to encourage you to step up as mentors. Don't compete. Mentor, lead, train, give internship opportunities. Now, I know for some of you that may not have crossed your mind, or for some of you, you may already feel smaller than the younger ones who are coming up because they're doing some amazing things. For example, here is some proof that they are doing some amazing things. I did an online search for those who are under 35 years old and making six-figure incomes. In the real estate space, I found Mackenzie Davis. At 26 years old, Mackenzie has earned over $100,000 in real estate. Now there's also Chloe Tucker Kane. At 33 years old, she has amassed more than 500 million in listings in real estate again. Brianka Siasha, not sure if I'm pronouncing, she was a former Miss USA, and she transitioned from pageantry into real estate, and she has had over six figures, massive success in this space. But it's not just real estate. What about life or business coaching? Well, I found Sarah Reyes at 32 years old. She's transformed a redundancy during her pregnancy into a successful virtual personal assistant business. She boasts multi-million-dollar clients, and she offers coaching services empowering women, particularly mothers, to navigate the professional virtual assistant world. Then there's Georgie Stevenson, a 29-year-old from Georgia who transitioned from a law clerk to a successful influence and entrepreneur. She co-founded Naked Harvest, a fast-growing, all-natural supplement company, which is aimed at women. And then we have Kim Rosas. Kim Rosas, founder of Period Shop. This is a multi-six-figure retail business providing educational content and reusable menstrual products on an e-commerce platform. What about authors? Amanda Hawking, she was born in 1984. She began self-publishing her paranormal romances in 2010. And by 2011, she sold over 1 million copies and earned more than $2 million by age 27. Carolyn Peckham and Suzanne Valenti, these were sisters who faced rejection from traditional publishers, but found success as self-publishing their Zodiac Academy series. They use TikTok and Book Talk communities, and they've sold more than 2.8 million copies with their series and garnering 251 million views on the platform. Why am I sharing this with you? Or younger upstarts are outdoing some of us who are seasoned in these very same areas. Authors, business coaches, entrepreneurs. We have years of credentials, experience, and mastery. But these young ones coming up below us, what they have is digital mastery. They have a strong digital presence online, and because they're not afraid to show up on camera, they have a lot of camera confidence, and they're willing to look stupid on camera too. They are producing content, and the search engines are gobbling them up. They are offering them as the solution when people type in something that they need. But here's the thing, their youth, while it gives them energy and bravado, is also potentially an area of deficiency where us who are a little bit older can step in and offer mentorship and guidance. Because here's what the Bible says. The Bible says in Proverbs 22, verse 15, folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but the rod of discipline drives it far from him. Now, folly is bound up in the heart of a child. Young people tend to make stupid decisions. I certainly made my fair share when I was younger. They say the brain isn't fully developed till age 25. It's one of the real reasons why anyone under 25 find it difficult to rent a car. Under 25, your brain is not fully developed. And many of these that I just shared with you had accomplished these amazing feats before 25 or shortly after. But folly is bound up in youth. And it goes on to say, but the rod of discipline drives it from him. Now, where's the rod of discipline coming from? Usually from a parent, a teacher, a mentor, someone who can spot the folly and call it out and hold them accountable and potentially make them pay in some way or call them to account for that folly. So the rod of discipline drives it out, but discipline does not come in a vacuum, and discipline does not come voluntarily. So folly is bound up in the heart of the child. The rod of discipline drives it from him, and there is where the older ones, 45 and older in particular, can come in and offer them some amazing guidance, counseling, internship opportunities. Let them see how it's done, because a lot of times the folly comes from ignorance. The folly comes from trial and error. They're tripping over themselves. So the young person who stepped into real estate, hopefully they had a mentor, and chances are they did, and that's probably why they succeeded. Because a lot of times, you and I both know, when we try things on our own, the learning curve is much longer and more difficult and very often more expensive than when we have a mentor or a coach or a guide, or we had, say, a job in the industry and we could watch those who are experts, who have already made all the mistakes, and our learning curve becomes shorter. This is why it is the coaching industry is blowing up, because those who have sense in their head understand they don't need to get burned by fire to understand that fire burns and it causes damage. Because if they tap into coaching or mentorship, or are in a position to observe others who have done it before, a guide, for example, on a mountain climb, you're going to make fewer mistakes and be able to accomplish things faster with more expertise than the one who figured it out on their own through trial and error. So this is where, rather than competing with our younger counterparts, two things: you should show up to offer coaching, guidance, mentorship, or maybe hire them and get the benefit of both worlds. But competing with them is going to be difficult if you are not showing up online and playing in their world. Because here's what happens: the younger counterparts to our expertise, they don't have the years of experience, the credentials, all the life experience and the mastery. But what they do have is just enough information and just enough knowledge to be dangerous, with strong digital presence. So when Susie gets her real estate license and she has it 2 weeks fresh out the door, because Susie has made a lot of content in the past, the moment she posts that she has a real estate license, Google, Bing, Safari, and all of them are offering her up as the choice for someone who is looking for a real estate agent, for example. So you are missing out when you're in the 45 plus age group, or as a small business association says, the 35 plus age group, those of us who are entrepreneurs, experts in our space, but we're a little bit older and we do not have the digital savvy of our younger counterparts. So let me tell you a story. This story comes out of 1 Kings chapter 12. I'm going to focus in on verses 12 through 20. I'm not going to read the whole story. Rehoboam was the young king, the one who succeeded the throne from his father, King Solomon. Now, when Rehoboam succeeded the throne, Jeroboam came with a group of men and said, hey, your dad was a little harsh on us. If you will lighten the load, we will continue to serve you, new king. And Rehoboam said, give me a few days and I will give you the answer. And so he had access to the council of older men, the men who had counseled King Solomon, and he asked them what was their advice. And they said, do what they ask and they will serve you. Well, Rehoboam also had the counsel of his peers. In other words, other young men alongside him. And Rehoboam decided to listen to his peers rather than the wisdom of the older ones. And what happened was, when Jeroboam came back with the party and said, hey, Rehoboam, King Rehoboam, what's your answer? Rehoboam said, my father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to your yoke. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. That is the advice his young peers gave him. He totally ignored the wisdom of the elders who had been right there with King Solomon, the wisest man of his time, the wisest man till today possibly. And he ignored that wisdom, went along with the folly of the youthful peers. And then guess what happened? Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. And it went on to say, there was none that followed the house of David but the tribe of Judah. So the 12 tribes that were following the king of Israel up to King Solomon broke away, and King Rehoboam no longer governed the entire Israel. He was only left with the tribe of Judah because he did not follow the counsel, the wisdom of the elders. So older, 35-year and older, especially the 45-year and older ones of us who have wisdom through time. Wisdom comes with time. Yes, you can get wisdom if God gives it to you, like he did to King Solomon. He asked for it, God gave it to him. You can absorb wisdom if you are around mentors, for example, but youthfulness comes with folly. Youthfulness comes with folly. And so when we have our elders around us who have the wisdom that's baked in with time, for example, my granddaughter is 7 years old. And she's a beautiful, talented, very smart girl. She's getting lots of A's and on top of her class. We cannot give her a car key, and even though we can afford to give her the car and say, go drive the car, because as she just does not have the age, the wisdom, the height that needs to see over the top of the steering wheel and all of that, because there are some things that only come with time. And this is why I am suggesting two things. Two things. To those of you who are 35 years old and older, those of you who the Small Business Association says are the experts and the business owners. Now, I can't consider business owners to be experts. How? Because businesses are simply answers to problems. Businesses exist because they are a response to a problem. They solve something. So business owners have become experts at solving that particular problem. So I see business owners as experts, but there are dominion or domain experts as well. Like, for example, if you're a neurosurgeon, you may not be an entrepreneur, but you are an expert. If you are an accountant, a CPA, you may not be an entrepreneur, but you are an expert. So those of us who have expertise, that is seasoned with time. And so I'm inviting you, those of you who are seasoned experts, to one, become more digitally savvy so that you become findable and famous for what you do. But even more so, when you do that, you might just become visible and findable to those younger ones who have the energy and the digital savvy, but don't have the mastery, the years of experience, and knowledge of the shortcuts which came with time and trial and error. So we can stand in the gap and become mentors, leaders, coaches to these younger ones, or at the very least, look out for them and hire them into your operation so that you can lead them from that purview and raise them up, raise up the next generation. This is legacy. This is the space of legacy. When we feed into that next generation, and we need to be doing that, when we feed into the next generation, it raises up the leaders for the next generation. Also, sometimes those who are observing you the most are those closest to you, your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, those in your students in your class. We're being watched, guys. We're being watched. What are you modeling for the next generation? Now, if you are going for legacy, then you definitely want to be positioning yourself as the expert. But to do that, you need to be findable and become famous for what you do, which brings me to the likes. So because I'm in TV media and TV is my primary platform, for a long while, I did not pay attention to the social media platforms. I had a presence there, but I was not actively trying to build. And many of you are guilty of the same thing. You're experts, you're big fish in a small pond. You're well known amongst your peers, your school, your church, your organization, but you're not very well known outside of that organization. So you are big fish in small ponds. But here's what happens. Like I said before, Google, Safari, Bing, DuckDuckGo, and all these other search engines, or even ChatGPT, these are the places that people are going to look for answers. They type in their questions, they look for answers, and guess what? They are being offered up, the young whippersnappers, because they have the digital savvy, they have the digital presence, they are findable, and they're becoming famous for the very thing you are a master of. So I encourage you to do like I did. So 2 years ago, I started to invest in my digital presence beyond television. So while I had a presence on the top 6 platforms, and your top 6 may be different because where your audience hangs out should be one of your top platforms. So for example, if you are a gamer, you might be on Twitch or Discord or one of those. Those aren't one of my top 6, but those might be your top 6. So I had a presence on the top 6 platforms for me, but I really just had a presence. I really wasn't, I would occasionally drop a post or something. That is not the way to go, guys. And let me also add this. While it is great to build on a social media platform and you can become an influencer on a social media platform, you also want to be doing things that are findable by search engines. Unfortunately, things done inside of like Instagram or Facebook are only findable on those platforms. They're not searchable and an answer response to search engines. That's why YouTube is amazing. That's why doing things on your website or being written up in the press, because these things are findable by the search engines. So it is very important to build your digital presence beyond the social media platforms, which are considered more like closed gardens. So what happens in Facebook stays in Facebook. And in fact, you put that post and 3 posts later, it's already dropped down into oblivion. So I'm saying, have a presence and work on your social media platforms, but do things that are findable by the search engines. YouTube is in the social media platform category, but it is searchable, it is findable, and it will deliver up responses to the search engines. So that's why YouTube has gotten a lot of my attention recently, because whatever you do on YouTube is findable in response to someone's search. Now, if you have an appearance on PSI TV, let me shamelessly put a plug in. When we have guests on PSI TV, we understand the need for this digital presence, this digital landscape, this digital real estate. So we repurpose that TV interview with 17 plus links that will build your digital presence. We have already seen where guests on our show that had no digital presence. How do I know? I research my guests. And a lot of them have no presence on page 1 of Google, for example, or what comes up is probably not even what they want to be known for. And when they appear on PSI TV and with the various links that we create that come out of that interview, because we repurpose that for many different platforms, some even pick the packages that include press releases, those things become findable in a search. So our goal is to equip you to become findable and famous for what you do, not only through a TV appearance, but we realized very quickly that while guests came to our interview chair for the TV experience, they had an unspoken desire for an expanded audience influential reach. So we realized very quickly we were in the business of influential reach, not just in the business of TV media. So I made my doctoral research all about influential reach and what it takes to build and expand audience and influence. And that is what we have called reachology. We have a trademark application in for that word, a word that is going to explain the art and science of influential reach. Trudy Beerman here. I invite you to find a way to collaborate with the younger ones, because they have the energy and the digital savvy. And when you collaborate with them, you put yourself in a leadership, mentorship capacity, and you benefit from their youth and energy, and they benefit from your guidance and your mentorship, and you're going to build legacy, because those young people will revere you. They will honor you. They will love you. They will follow you if you do it right. However, you need to be working on your likes as well, because what does like? We will move in one direction. If your focus is just likes, that may or may not be a fit, because